Hello, right, so in this video we're going to look at the Dorset coastline. Now the Dorset coastline is an example of a coastal landscape in the UK. It's got very distinctive coastal features. For example, we have the erosional feature of Durdledore, which is an arch or a sea arch. We have a cove, which is also erosional. However, the bay would be depositional. We've got Kimmeridge Edge, which is a wave cut platform, which forms at the bottom of cliffs when cliffs retreat. That's erosional. Cliffs, steep vertical ends of the land, basically, erosional. Durlston headland cliffs are erosional. Swanage, so there's a bay there which is erosional. However, the beach is depositional. Old Harry Stacks are erosional. A bay is erosional. Again, the beach would be depositional. Sand dunes, definitely depositional because it's got sand being put down. We've got sandbanks, most expensive place to live in the country. You've got beach, sandy, spit, sandy or shingles, and offshore bars or depositional. And we've got Bournemouth Bay with sandy beach, so we've got the erosion for the bay, deposition for the beach. Now, I'm just going to very quickly go through some of these major landforms and give you some tips on how they form and how you could potentially present these in an examination. So, Durdledore is an arch. Now, an arch forms when headlands are eroded, and the most common process it goes through is crack, weakness in rock, waves, hydraulic action from the sea, which is around there, would attack it. You then get a cave, a sea arch, which is Durdledore. Eventually, weathering will attack the top, so subaerial processes, weathering, freeze-thaw, chemical weathering. The waves will continue to attack the bottom, marine processes. The top of the arch will collapse, leaving a stack, and then finally, more erosion and weathering leaves you with a stump. So, that process, crack, cave, arch, stack, stump. Kimmeridge over here is a wave cut platform. A wave cut platform is a rocky ledge left at the bottom of a cliff. So, first of all, there's your cliff. Here's the base of the cliff. The sea at high tide and low tide would erode the base of the cliff. This is the zone of erosion via hydraulic action, and it would create a small wave cut notch. Notch is just a piece of something taken out of something else. So there's a little kind of undercut at the bottom called a notch. Second, what would happen is this process would continue until the notch is much bigger. So it undercuts and it leaves this overhanging rock here. Now eventually, I'll do it because I'm running out of space. Eventually, that rock will collapse. So here is the old cliff position. A new notch has formed. The process will just repeat as the cliff retreats. And this rocky ledge here is called a wave cut platform, and often these are only exposed at low tide, so when the tide's in you can't access it. Next, so here we've got Chesil Beach, which is further west on this map. It's not actually on this map, and it's a bar or a barrier beach. Okay, now we've also got up here Sandbanks, which is a beach and also a spit. But how bars work is, if you imagine you've got a coastline and it changes shape. Prevailing wind is what powers the waves. Okay, so because it's at this angle, the waves along this stretch of coastline are hitting at that angle. We call that the swash. However, gravity pulls it back at 90 degrees. This is the backwash. And what this process is longshore drift. Material is drifting along the shore. But if you look here, the coastline's changed direction. That doesn't mean that longshore drift just magically stops happening. It continues, or I'm going to do it with a perforated line, and it takes material with it. So first of all, you will get a spit, which is like a finger sticking out to sea develop. LSD will continue. Your spit will grow larger, nearly encompassing the whole bay. Now sometimes your spit, I'll draw it here, if you imagine, your spit can actually develop a hook on the end. And that's because the wind, predominant wind, changes direction. But with Chesil Beach, that hasn't happened. The spit has grown all the way across, and it has formed a bar or a barrier beach. And the water behind it is now called the lagoon. Okay, now Durlston Head, which is over here, we've already got cliffs, so you know a cliff is a vertical end to the land. Okay, and you get wave cut notches and wave cut platforms forming at the bottom. And it's also a headland, so it's going to be going through this crack cave arch stack stump process. Another way we could draw it is, so that's the cliff face. We're going to do a different diagram here, is if we do a bird's eye view, and if you imagine this is the headland sticking out, probably surrounded by softer rock. So headland. Now waves that approach can often converge around the headland or bend. It's called wave refraction, and this leads to the sides being attacked. And this is where you might get your cracks forming, turning into caves. Eventually it will break all the way through and you will get an arch. The arch will collapse, leaving behind a stack. And then finally, weathering and erosion will continue and it will leave a stump. So that's like a bird's eye view of this. You'll also get around the sides wave cut platforms form that you could demonstrate on an image, on a diagram like that. Okay, again, Old Harry, which is at the end of this headland here, is a sea stack. Okay, and the same process as we've done up there, which you should be able to get good at drawing, is crack, cave, arch, here's Old Harry, stack, stump. So get good at drawing that process. Next, we've got Swanage Bay and a beach. I'm going to focus on the beach for this one. So a beach profile will often look like this. This is a gentle beach profile. The lumps and ridges are called berms. Now Swanage Bay, it is a gentle sloping sandy beach, not a single shingle beach, which is larger rocks, and it is formed because the waves in the sheltered bay are constructive waves, and they have a strong swash, so they go all the way up the beach. However, they only have a weak backwash, and what that leads to is the deposition of sand on the beach. Okay, and here's some lovely grey sand. Okay, now this one is Lulworth Cove, okay, which is found over here just before you get to Durdledore. This is actually a narrow bay, all right, and for this you could use the headland and bay formation. So the first part of this is you have alternating bands of hard and soft rock. A discordant coastline. That's what it means, hard and soft rock. Now the second phase, because of marine processes, erosion via hydraulic action, you get this formed. And you get a beautiful headland there. You get your narrow bay, and you get another beautiful headland there. Hard rock erodes slowly, soft rock in the middle erodes quickly. And finally, over time, this will continue to change because in the bay, you would have constructive waves that would be refracting and depositing material on a beach. So you have a beach form there. And around, because the headlands do still erode, they just erode more slowly. And you know, the crack cave arch stack stone process is taking place. But they'll also have wave cut platforms form as a result of the base of these cliff faces on these headlands being undercut. Finally, we've got sandbanks. Now, sandbanks is some of the most expensive property in the whole of the UK, probably the whole of the world. And here, it's a spit with lots of beaches on. So, a beach, we've done down the bottom, constructive waves, deposit material. If it was a steep gradient beach, that would be when there's destructive waves. So that would be when there's a weak swash, a high wave breaker crashing onto the beach, strong backwash. But sandbanks, just very quickly, I'll draw a spit again. So we've got the coastline changing direction. We've got the wind coming in this direction, the prevailing, which is the most dominant wind. As a result, longshore drift, swash, backwash at 90 degrees. You can even put your 90 degree symbol, right angle symbol, swash, backwash, swash, backwash. And what will happen is this process will continue, and that is why there is a spit that we know as sandbanks. And as this spit continues to grow, it might develop a hook. And then on this, you get further deposition, and that's why there are beaches within this spit. All right, this is your coastal landscape. Learn it, practice the diagrams, and you should be good to go. Respect.